Welcome back to Growing Forward, the podcast where we spotlight the people shaping the future of agriculture, especially the next generation of leaders, innovators, and problem solvers. I'm your host, Libby Spellman, and today we're joined by someone who plays a critical role in connecting science, field research, and real-world grower needs across the East. Eric Ott, Senior Regional Manager of Field Market Development at Valent USA. Eric, thanks so much for being here today.
Hi, Libby. Glad to be here.
All right, so this is going to be fun. So you're the third episode of Growing Forward, and I think we're going to get a different look at things because of your career here at Valent. So this is going to be interesting for our listeners to kind of get to know a different part of ag.
Yes, looking forward to it.
What I'd like to do with you is to start by sharing your story.
Yeah, so I'm originally from East Central Wisconsin, where my parents farmed corn, wheat, and pigs when I was young. And shortly after, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, my dad then became a crop consultant and agronomist, and we moved to a different area of Wisconsin where I first saw my first soybean plant in 1989. And I would occasionally go to work with my dad and help him. Some key memories from that were helping him evaluate alfalfa and corn stands in fields he was consulting. As a family, we always had a large garden, and this was probably what got me interested in protecting crops. The one specific pest I remember was the Colorado potato beetle, and the constant struggle that was to manage in our potato crop in the garden. And it made me start to appreciate how farmers grew crops on a large scale and managing those pests.
Okay, so you grew up in ag, which everyone can't say that, but I think that kind of gives you a head start and really kind of drives that passion from the beginning. And so I wonder, it sounds like you were kind of always curious about the way plants grew and the science behind it. Did you always plan to work in field development, or was that something that kind of came later?
Yeah, so I quickly realized that I wasn't going to be an engineer because I would take apart clocks, alarm clocks, and I would not be able to put them back together.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I knew I wasn't going to be an engineer, but then I was like, I don't really like blood, or the sight of blood, so
Yeah,
I
me neither.
wasn't going to, yes, I wasn't going to work in the animal world. So yeah, I leaned toward the plants, and I really initially wanted to be a crop consultant or an agronomist like my dad. And I really wasn't aware of all the careers that were available in agronomy, crop protection, or crop production.
Tell us what you studied, where you went to school, and maybe a little bit about what that part of your life taught you.
So I decided to attend Purdue University to study agronomy with a focus on the business track. That first year was great, and I decided to stay on campus during the summer between my freshman and sophomore years. I got connected to the extension weed scientist at Purdue, and I worked for him that summer, mostly maintaining research plots. Then after that summer, I changed my focus in agronomy from the business track to the science track. So that was my first real change there. And then the following summer, he had grad students, and I helped those students with some of their projects, as well as I was able to talk with them and learn from them about their experiences, goals, as well as learning more about weed science. I really enjoyed learning and doing the work that summer. I liked it enough that when I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I decided to pursue a master's degree in weed science. I liked the research, and I liked interacting with people. So at the time, an extension educator position was appealing to me. I had 2 different projects that allowed me to learn a lot about weeds, insects, and soil fertility. When I finished up my master's degree, a job opportunity as a research assistant at Michigan State University was open, and that job focused on weed management and fruit and vegetable crops in the horticulture department, as well as being involved in the IR4 project, which helps get pesticides registered on the non-mega acre crops. And I remember telling people I work on crops from asparagus to zucchini and everything in between. And yeah, I was able to interact with a lot of crop protection people, including sales, marketing, field development during those 2.5 years at MSU. And I thought that the field development type role would be a great role at some point in the future. And that opportunity came sooner than I thought with Valent in 2008. I liked the idea of a company that was focused on innovating crop protection solutions for farmers, as well as opportunities to see projects that you work on end up being used on thousands, if not millions of acres. And Valent checked those boxes, and joining Valent made sense.
Well, we're certainly glad you joined Valent because you've been able to do some really amazing things while you've been here, and really help drive our solutions forward with your work. But with that, a lot of our listeners may not fully understand what field market development is or what you do. And so, for our young listeners, whether they're students in FFA or even people who are early in their careers in agriculture, tell us a little bit about what it is you actually do in the field.
Yes, so I usually describe being a field market development specialist as two different jobs, one being a field scientist and the other technically supporting sales. And I'll start out by describing being a field scientist. I help test, validate, and position product concepts before they reach the market. We need to know the biological activity of the product concepts on the target pests, crop safety, and how it behaves in the pest, crop, and soil. We work with university scientists and private researchers in developing these product concepts prior to registration and coming to market. And once a pesticide product is developed and registered, it is ready to be marketed and sold. And that's where I will describe the supporting sales part of the job. The field market development specialists help train the Valent sales group on the proper use of the new product and share what they have learned over the years of field testing. They're typically available to help introduce new products to retailers and growers, as well as being technical support for the products that are already on the market. A typical growing season day for a field market development specialist includes viewing field trials and supporting sales. During the time outside of the growing season, we analyze data, write reports, review and discuss results, plan for the next year's field testing, and continue to support sales in their update meetings. Really, to summarize, the field market development translates science into practical solutions growers can use.
So to put it simply, Eric, what you're doing is really, really important for our product life cycle here at Valent, and to make sure that our innovations go through all the proper testing and trials prior to that next step. And so I wonder, with all the differentiation and different types of work you've done while here at Valent, is there a trial or project or even a grower moment that you're really proud of?
Right. So I can think there seems to be one every year, but to pick out one or two that I feel stick out and just are things that I tell my kids to do or just aspire, as well as some of my coworkers. One is the reintroduction of using Cobra in white mold management in soybeans. The physiological response behind Cobra herbicide for white mold disease management in soybean had been understood for 10 to 15 years. So it wasn't anything new, but 2009, 2010 were perfect white mold disease years in soybeans. I worked with the Valent sales team that I directly worked with. We had several demonstrations out in key states and areas for weed control with Cobra that turned into great opportunities to get people reacquainted with using Cobra for white mold in soybean. And in certain areas in 2008, 2009 and 2010, white mold disease reduced soybean yields between 20 and 40%. And we were able to give an old product a second life for several years.
That's awesome. And that goes back to the impact you're making by what you're doing. So for all of our listeners, I mean, like I said, what Eric's doing is really, really important for our products. And so, Eric, you mentioned a little bit about working with others and teamwork, a little bit about that. So, who are the people that you primarily work with day to day? If you were to describe that for our listeners, about some of the people that you work directly with when you're working day to day at Valent.
Yes, so on a typical day, I'm always in communication with the sales group, whether that's with the sales reps, the territory account managers that I work directly with, or even some of those territory account managers that I don't directly work with, but they have questions. And so that's a regular daily conversation, maybe not with every one of them, but it's a daily communication with several of the salespeople, as well as my field market development counterparts in other states and other areas. And during the growing season, we stay in contact fairly consistently, just sharing what we have seen in our trials, as well as what we're seeing in the field with the products that are being applied commercially, and working with product development managers, as maybe not every day, but working close with them on the projects that they're focused in on, and keeping them up to speed on how things are going.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think it's really cool too, and says a lot about Valence culture is that we do have that camaraderie and we work really closely together to drive innovation forward. And it's really good to have that connection because, Eric, like if I ever had a question that I need help with, I have resources to reach out to, right? So I love that about Valent and how we can always learn from each other. And so, with that, one of the things that you have a really, really close eye on, and that I'm curious of your perspective on, is innovation and to put it in a different way, the future of agriculture. So, field development teams get a front row seat to what's coming next in ag, and some of the trends or innovations that are coming as well. So, what are some of those things that you might want to share with us that you're excited about?
Right. So, yes, I'll say this: seeing new active ingredients that may be 10 years away from coming to market is extremely exciting, and them having some biological activity, and I'll say this, seeing things from the start to potential market is super exciting. But one thing I really get excited about, just in how, not just for Valent, but for the whole industry as a whole, is the precision technologies that are here or coming soon, ranging from precision sprayers, new biotechnology, to autonomous equipment operation. Precision tools that will allow for better targeted applications, not only being more sustainable, but opportunities for current chemistries to be used in new and different ways. And I always think biotechnology is interesting. It's always interesting. But I also think some of the newer technologies like artificial intelligence can help with identifying new target sites for pesticide discovery, as well as identifying new biologicals to enhance crop resiliency or as pesticides. AI, I know, is already analyzing large amounts of data in a fraction of the time it would have taken 2 or 3 years ago, and allowing growers, retailers, and the industry to make better management decisions. The ability to innovate with new biologicals for increasing crop resiliency or innovative pesticides will help crop production become even more sustainable. And I say all this knowing it is the people that make agriculture special. I see with all this information coming to us, we will need to better communicate, and that in turn will allow for closer collaboration with each other, from research to sales and to the grower.
For sure. Yeah, it's really exciting. And a little bit, there is a stereotype around agriculture for whatever reason that some people think we're not as innovative as we are, but it's truly a testament. What you just said is truly a testament to how innovational and science driven the ag industry truly is. I mean, we've got some really exciting things coming up. So thank you for sharing that. And like I said, just curious to your perspective because you're one of those people with the front row seat to what's coming next. So thank you for sharing. And so
Yes.
I think that, for all of our listeners, I am sure it is very clear how smart Eric is. He is a plant scientist and he is truly, very intelligent and talented at what he does. And so my next question for you is another just peek into your brain and curious to your thoughts on this. What skills will the next generation of ag professionals need most, in your opinion?
This may sound cliche, but communication.
Absolutely.
Strong communication skills are needed now and will be in the future, maybe even more so in the future with all this new information coming and new technology coming. Whether you're a scientist, a salesperson, a marketer, IT professional, or a grower, if you can't communicate your thoughts or ideas well, it will make your job much more difficult. And in your professional career, whatever that may be, you will be more likely than not communicating with people that you work with and that have different career backgrounds than you, but have the same goal on the project. So good, clear communication has always been and will continue to be key.
I love that answer. As someone who works in communications, I second that. I love that answer, and I could not agree more.
Yeah, and I'll add another skill that's, I try to tell my kids this as well, is never stop learning. Learning is learning something completely new, learning how to do a task differently, not being afraid to take on a project that may get you a little outside of your comfort zone, using new tools to do your job, and just an overall general curiosity. I feel like that's key for a job like, well, any job, I'll say that, but for a field scientist, field
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And Eric, so you mentioned earlier that you grew up on a farm and watched your dad do agronomy, which kind of somewhat sparked your interest. So I have to ask, you mentioned your dad. So do you think that your kids are getting interested in what you do?
Oh, I know my son, he's 11. He says he isn't, but whenever we're outside, he's messing around with some insects that he's found. So,
yeah.
And then we try to identify the insect. Most of the time, it's something fairly common and easy to identify. And yeah, my daughter, I know she's definitely wants to be a scientist of some sort. So, I try to keep her on the plant side of things. I know right now she's 13, so that could change 100 times between now and whenever she graduates and does whatever she's doing, but she wants to be a food scientist right now. So I think the curiosity's there.
And I think it's funny because when you're talking about your son identifying insects, so I also have a son and he's also interested in insects. We live in Texas and we
Oh,
have fire ants.
ooh,
So there is
yes.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Well, that's good. Good teaching. Good teaching moment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So thank you for that. And that's so important to know kind of what you see helping folks succeed. And so, along with that, and more advice for young professionals, what advice would you give someone who wants to pursue the field that you're in? So, research or field development or a science forward role in agriculture?
Yes. So, yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll say this, knowing where I was coming from, whatever, 25, 26 years ago, not knowing everything that was out there, just maybe don't be so focused on a particular job that you want to do, but think more so about a career direction. And there's so many options and opportunities out there. And as a science forward role, like you can be anywhere from a lab scientist to a field scientist, a regulatory scientist to a data scientist, all the way from a molecular biologist to a landscape ecologist, and so much more. So I feel like, don't limit your view on just what you know, because there's a lot out there and there's going to be a lot out there, 5-10 years from now too, that those jobs don't exist.
That's so true. 10 years from now, we could have positions that don't exist today. So it's so important to not set your path too narrow, because you never know what the future holds. And so when you think about listeners and think back to when you were in that position and you're trying to decide what you want to do next, where your future lies and what you want to go to school for, or you're someone who's very young in their ag career, it's important for them to try to get out in the field before they start their career.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, the short answer is yes. And I'll take that step and go back a step, and just to the building relationships, and whether that's with peers, professors, or agricultural professors, or farmers, whatever piques your interest, building and ultimately maintaining those relationships is key with any profession. So if you're able to get out and see things, the way I learned was, nobody learns from anything when you see a perfect looking plant, whether that's a corn plant or
Okay.
an apple tree. It's when something is a little different, that's wrong with it, if you will, that you learn. And just asking questions, right?
Yes.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people who have the experience and, try to learn from them. Like I mentioned earlier, never stop learning. And that's, I think, key. And going back to the relationship thing, nobody has it all together day one. Everything seems like it's running 100 miles per hour, but after a year or two, you start realize things start slowing down, and the people that you interact with, and going back one step further, the communication, that's
Yes. Yep.
that's key. Yep. So yeah, the communication, building relationships, and not being afraid to ask the questions when you don't know the answer. And even if you know the answer, if you need some clarification on things, that's always beneficial. And whether your experiences are with internships or working in a lab somewhere, or just communicating with someone at a meeting.
Right. And I think that's for even if you listen, if you're a listener, and even if you are not planning to go into agriculture, but this is good advice for whatever industry you join. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And it goes back to your advice, Eric, with the communication, right? It's got to be a good communicator. You got to ask questions. You got to raise your hand. As Eric said, do not be afraid to ask questions because everyone's got to start somewhere, and you won't get to where you want to get to unless you ask the questions that you need to ask. So, such good advice. I think everyone listening can benefit from that. Again, no matter what industry you decide to go into. So, Eric,
Absolutely.
if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Let's say all failures are not bad. That would be my one piece of advice. All failures are not bad. As a scientist, you realize some things do not go the way you planned, and you need to tell yourself, okay, what did I learn? What can I change to do better next time? Often it is the perseverance of rethinking your hypothesis and retesting different parameters that make you successful. And that may take several tries and years to refine to get the answers you're looking for. So it's okay to fail as long as you learn from it.
Especially in your field, right? I mean,
Yes,
that's you're learning, and as you mentioned earlier, you learn from your mistakes, and I think that's the case here too. Is all failures are not bad. What good advice. And the relationships, like you said, the
yes.
relationships matter. So speak to that a little bit about the relationships that maybe you've built along the way that have helped you in your career.
Yes. So, I was able to be involved with the agronomy club as an undergraduate, and that got me connected so many ways to so many people. I was able to interact with people, professors, researchers, like world-class researchers, professors, not just at Purdue, but other universities as well. And that was super cool. Just as a 19, 20-year-old kid, interacting with, people who are at the top of their profession.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
what a cool opportunity. Yeah, very cool.
yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, looking back at it, I know my father-in-law, he and I were talking about, like, yeah, growing up, neither one of us knew any PhDs, but now, I'm like, oh yeah, I work with them on a daily basis, and that's just a really, so I get to work with a lot of smart people. It's like you mentioned, what makes agriculture special is the people, and it's great to work with great people who are great at what they do and are great to work with.
And the other thing is, okay, so it's cool that you built these relationships and had some really cool opportunities, by the way. But the other thing is, ag is also, it's a big industry, but it feels really small too. So having those relationships really can be so beneficial for you.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's amazing how small of a world it really is, especially when you're involved in one specific part of agriculture. I met so many people that knew my dad, or yeah, well, they still know him, but
Yeah.
that is, it's fun, but also at the same time a little scary, just because it is such a small world that you going back to the relationships, you want to have good relationships with people, and because you never know when you're going to be working directly with them or for them, or so it's a small world, but a good world.
And remind us, where did you grow up?
I grew up in East Central Wisconsin, and then my family moved to South Central Wisconsin.
One of the things that I've noticed in getting to talk with people from all different backgrounds and who work in all different areas of ag is that many of them have have experience with 4-H or FFA or AFA or Manners or one of these clubs that really kind of got them interested in ag in the beginning of their childhood?
Yes, so I was involved in 4-H from age 9 until about age 15. We didn't show any livestock, but we showed, as a family, we showed vegetables. And we had, like I said, we had a big garden, so we had plenty to show there. And, you know, it got me interested in taking care of plants and just seeing some of the things that can go wrong with them. Like I mentioned, the Colorado potato beetle, we lived on sandier soil there in south central Wisconsin, and which was great for growing potatoes, but the Colorado potato beetles love that too. And so did that until I was a freshman in high school, and then I kind of, life got busy with all the high school activities, and so I switched over to FFA. Was in FFA for all 4 years.
Oh wow, very cool.
Yes, yep, and it was like I said, it was a good experience. I was able to get my state degree as well as my American degree as well. So I stuck it out for the long haul.
Yes, how cool. And it's so cool to hear people talk about this because again, I say it a lot, but I don't think these organizations get enough credit for what they do and all the people that they kind of spark passion in to continue on a career in agriculture. So thank you for sharing that. That is so neat. And it's kind of funny because every person I've had on the podcast so far has been involved in one of these organizations. So
Wonderful.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, yep, exactly. And FFA is where I was exposed to a lot more agriculture than what I was familiar with at the time. Just some of the opportunities to attend the Wisconsin State FFA Convention as well as the National FFA Convention. I was able to meet people from across the state or the country, and that was a great experience for interacting with others and learning from them and asking questions and just learning about agriculture in different parts of the world and the U.S. and this all directed my interest in agriculture.
Okay, so I'm gonna close things up with a fun rapid fire round. Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. We'll see how well I do.
Yes, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but it's okay. Do your best.
Okay.
All right, Eric. Favorite crop to work with?
Whew. All right. I'll say this. It's hard to beat being in a peach orchard at harvest, especially when you can taste a tree-ripe peach. It doesn't get much better than that. Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Coffee or energy drink?
Yeah. I'll say that I like plain water, but if I had to choose one of those two, I think I'd go coffee.
Okay, and the water answer from a scientist makes complete sense and understand the rationale there.
Yes, yep.
One thing you wish everyone knew about field research?
Yeah, so it's something new every day. There's no day that's the same. And oftentimes you don't know what you might be seeing or what question might come up. Every intern that I've had, I've told them, during the growing season, you don't know what's going to come up. So it's fun. So
yes, and never monotonous. It's always something new.
Absolutely.
Favorite part of your job?
I get to work with and develop innovative solutions to problems, as well as getting to work with great people. As I mentioned, I get to see things that may be 10 years away from market and and get to see how it's developed over the years and be part of the development, and just to see it potentially come to market or get registered and then come to market. and see it go on thousands or millions of acres, that's a satisfying part of the job.
Absolutely. It's got to be. And you're helping feed and fuel the world, which is, I mean, how better does it get than that?
Yep, exactly, exactly.
Final question. A piece of advice you carry with you.
Yes. So experience. This was someone told me this the first year I started with Valent. He was a seasoned sales rep, and he said, "You don't have 40 years of experience. You have 40 individual years of experience." It reminds me every year is different, and really never stop learning.
Thank you, Eric, so much for joining us. Your perspective on field research, innovation, and supporting growers is truly inspiring, especially for young people exploring career paths in ag. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep growing forward. We'll see you next time.